Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Today's gonna be a very cool, very cool live. Just waiting for our guest to show up. Right here. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, and you?
Doing great, doing great. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for accepting my invitation.
Of course, of course. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of you.
No, thank you. The live is gonna be recorded, so I mean we can start, and people are gonna start coming in, and so it's gonna be recorded, and I'm gonna put in my YouTube channel afterwards. So
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah, so then if you want the video to make short clips and stuff like that, I can send you the video as well. But before we start, I feel the need to kind of share this, because the way I met you was super interesting. And so I'm gonna tell everybody, like one of the things that I'm doing, I'm writing a book about the story, and my story. I try to focus on my book a little bit of this, a lot about the spirituality and music, which is something that guided me, my intuition, and everything changed. It started to change more on the spiritual side after I met you, and this is what I think it's very interesting. Uh, it was February 2016, a few months before my son was born. I went to Iron Maiden concert with Hafali, and then that was actually the really first time that I started talking about existence with somebody like that besides my therapist. So Hafali said, like, dude, you gotta meet this lady. She's like highly spiritual, and she listens to Bad Religion and all punk rock and rock. I was like, no, that's not possible. So when my son was born, and it was totally unexpected, the way he was born and stuff, and I went to search for something else. I even told my wife, like, if we're gonna find any answer in this life, it's gonna be to the spiritual side. And believe it or not, you were doing that full moon ritual that I didn't like. I found out that day. I never even talked to Rahaf Ali. Then I show up. You were there, obviously, because you're one of the organizers. And Rahaf Ali was there, and we both like, what the hell is going on? Like, we didn't schedule anything, and it was everybody there. And at the end of that one, I was actually telling the story with my son, and you looked to me, it's like, you're a medium. I was like, no, that's not possible. I've been called evil my entire life because of my music taste. And like, how can I be a medium and have like a special spiritual relationship if I'm being told I was like evil my entire life? And that shift, like everything, my perspective in life in terms of spirituality and all of that. So I think it's pretty cool. And just the fact that you listen to punk rock, I was like, okay, is it possible to be a spiritual person and still, listen to metal and
Of
punk rock
course,
and
of
all of that stuff?
course.
So I just think, for me, it was ironically fascinating, that scene. So now I'm here talking to you, and which is amazing. Uh, so
Uh,
can you, with that, I'm gonna open up with the first question. It's you to present yourself and talk a little bit about your work.
yeah, so again, thank you so much for having me. It's like you are
It's
really
my pleasure.
inspiration for not just for myself, but I'm pretty sure inspiration for so many people. You know, well, I started my path in spirituality when I was very, very young, for about like when I was 14, 15 years old. And I used to live nearby Hare Krishna temple actually. And all my friends back in Brazil growing up, they all was punk rock. So I really grew up like with skateboard and punk rock scene. So I grew up listening to Dead Kennedys, Minor Threat,
All the good stuff.
Bad Religion. Yes, yes. And to me, I think you must to find the balance between what doesn't matter if you're a spiritual person or not. In my case, I always love like the spirituality. I work with Reiki, crystals, I do kirtans, and I teach yoga. But I have to listen to punk rock between my groups, so that kind of speed really, really, really put me like in a good way to balance. And going back to the time, like, and I remember I told you that we were a medium. Yes, you have such a beautiful spiritual. That you're open to all that energy, but I think we are raised in a wrong way. It's like if you have your imaginary friend, or if you talk with different people, they call you crazy,
Yeah.
And in my opinion, is no such thing. You just like you are open to all the energy. You're a beautiful soul, and to me, punk rock is literally some of my ways for meditation. I have to have.
I'm so glad that you said that, because like for me it's like, yes, it's kind of like you put it the song and you kind of like you get in peace with yourself. And for me it's a way to understand a lot of things that happen, like especially because you, like you said, I think we grew up in a really fucked up way, in a way, because like, oh, you're crazy, and when you're not,
No,
but
not at all. I'm
how.
pretty sure even in a spiritual community, a lot of people probably look at me like if I'm crazy, because my approach to my groups and my sessions and my events, I speak from my heart. And honestly, that stuff about the love and light, I think is a kind of bullshit, because we are humans.
Yeah.
We need to have the human experience. And you can be a spiritual, you can teach everything, but instead of being in the books, you have to have the approach from your hearts. And to me, I'm not a pretender. I cannot pretend that I'm like a love and light 24/7, because it's not true.
It's
I'm
not true, exactly. You need darkness to have light, period.
absolutely.
And
Oh
I
my God,
think
that's Star Wars behind you. Oh, you are so cool.
yeah, I think it's fascinating that you said that, because like it's true. Like it's not black and white, it's not light and darkness. It's the gray area that really matters. And punk rock sings a lot about that. Like there's one song that I think is everybody know what's best for you from Bad Religion, that he says like the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's not like not there and not here. It's somewhere in the middle. And I think that's so important to people to understand. And it's funny because the new age is all like, I know it because like I participated in some groups. I actually was kicked out of one of the groups of this new age stuff, because it's like it can't be just all like light, and because that's a lie. It just doesn't work this way.
No, and also we are humans, so it's impossible to be 100% in a peaceful mode.
Yeah.
You can find that balance, but okay, if you're driving, somebody cut you off, you're gonna be mad, even for 2 seconds, but you're gonna be like, you know.
Yeah.
So I cannot pretend that I'm gonna blessing the person who cut me off. It's not
Exactly.
reality.
Yeah, they cut you off like glasses for you. That doesn't happen this way. Especially because if you do that, the person will never realize that she did something wrong. Of like, hey, I cut that person, next time I should pay attention to a little bit. But
Yeah,
I think this is how we grow. We need to have some sort of crisis in order to see the light, in theory.
absolutely. I think in life that doesn't matter what we cross. it's like you said, it's the darkness, there's the light. We need to find just the balance between whatever we do. Like I have a skateboard in my car, so I stop on some parts, and because I work in a hospital and teaching what I teach and what I do, and I have to stop and I put my music, even for like a few minutes. I just skate a little bit. So to me, bring that peace. So it's my
Yeah.
meditation time, you know.
Yeah. Even that, what's that guy, Mr. Oh, I forgot his name. He has a movie. Tom Hanks did his part of the movie. He works with special need kids and he has a show. I forgot the name of the movie. Mr. Rogers, maybe? Or
Well,
something like that.
could be because I remember Mr. Rogers. Yes, he goes to hospitals, and I used to have a
Yeah.
film. Yeah.
And he says like sometimes he has to go to the piano and play the low key just to kind of like let it go, you know, like some of the things, especially because it's energy. Sometimes, like doing this kind of work that you do, I will assume that you absorb all of it, all of a lot of energy,
Oh yeah.
bad, good and bad, and you gotta, you know, you gotta leave it out there some way. You can't keep it inside. So
Yes.
punk rock and skateboarding, I usually play that I'm a witch, and skateboarding, it's like it's substituting. In my other life, I use it a broom, and now I use a skateboard.
And I'm telling you, it's like it's the best way to me to relax, you know.
Yeah,
And because I teach meditation all day long, so I'm already there. So when I finish my groups or whatever I'm teaching, I have to just put it out, because I, like you mentioned, I'm serving all the energy all day long. So I
yeah.
need some way to put it out. And
And that happens with empaths too. It's like a person that is an empathetic, which normally mediums, I don't know much about. I've been studying more now, like reading books about this. But I assume that a lot of mediums are also empathetic. So you ended up absorbing, you kind of have to release some way, somehow. But the problem is like when you release it, everybody's like, well, this kind of music is just like why? Or are you crazy? And you like, you know, it's,
you know, it's funny you mentioned that. I remember a few years ago, somebody invited me for a podcast. I was talking about it, and everybody was surprised, like what kind of music I love punk rock. It's like I love it.
I love it too.
And and then I was mentioning to the guys like what kind of music I play, blah blah. I'm not kidding. A lot of people from the spiritual community, they get so mad at me.
With me too. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, and then I told them, it's like, why are you guys mad? Because I'm keeping real. I could pretend that I'm just sing kumbaya 24/7, but it's not reality.
Yeah.
And also it's music. Music is hosts, especially punk rock to me, working with vibration and frequencies, holds a special vibration in your brain. Then when you play that kind of music, you release all the worries, you
Yeah.
release all the anger, whatever you have, and it give you that happiness.
That
It's
joy,
good, right?
yeah. It's like you leave it out and it's like, oh, I'm happy. Like I'm cool, you know, like it's okay, you know, like I get it. It's like it's funny, like because the one you mentioned, it's for me, it's like on that scene on Seinfeld that it's insanity, serenity now. Like George's dad is always like serenity now, until one of his friends are like, yeah, you keep screaming that, it's gonna be sanity later, and he goes nuts because he's absorbing everything, and he's all like serenity now, until he explodes. And I think it's much better. It's much more spiritual, and you become a better person if you like, okay, I'm going a little cuckoo. Let me just listen to some stuff, get my skateboard, come back, and you are a better person. You're a better father. You're a better human being. You know, like you're more empathetic that way because you can kind of understand their point. But if you're all mad, it's like You're not
because
gonna go
you
anywhere.
hold everything within. So what is the point? You know?
Yeah,
And also my opinion is what is right, what is wrong anyway.
exactly.
You know, I think whatever brings you happiness, this is right. You're not hurting anybody. So why is wrong?
Yeah, the joy and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the joy and vibration love, they are always above, and where the other ones are always below. So if you release that, you can rise above, than actually keep it in. If you keep it in, you just get depressed and depressed and depressed and depressed. So, like, I could be wrong, but that's the
No, no,
feeling
no,
that
you're
I have.
right. Yeah, no, you're right. And also it's like again, when you play something that is happy, release so much endorphin, immediately you're gonna be happy anyway, you know.
Exactly.
And in my case, of course, it's punk rock. But of course, I love kirtan because what I do, I'm a Hare Krishna too. So I'm baptized Hare Krishna. So I go to the temple. I do my
Oh,
mantra.
really? I see
So
the pictures. I think
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
yeah.
And they use a lot of music, a lot of healing sounds, right?
Yes,
The
yes,
Hare Krishnas.
yes. Especially like the mantras,
Yeah.
because everything holds like a certain frequency when you sing. Then when you repeat over and over again, really helps like the brain waves to completely relax.
Yeah.
And yes, and you block basically the negativity, and you just attract what is good. And it's not la la land, it's really science stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, you said that your initiation in spirituality was when you were 14, right?
Well, I started basically when I was 14, almost 15. Then it's a funny story that actually I don't talk about with many people. But I started my path because when I was at the age, I started having anxiety problems, big
Mm,
time. Like the ones that I couldn't even leave my house for no reason. And my family always was really open-minded about spirituality, my mom especially. And so then I started like instead they take me to doctors and pills. They told me let's do meditation. So
wow.
I went to a spiritual place in Brazil, a spiritualist, and then a good friend of mine, he was a Hare Krishna, and then we started talking about the Bhagavad Gita, and then it's like the Bible from the Hare Krishna, and I literally fell in love with the philosophy. So my spiritual path basically starts on that. And then I start searching like why I was feeling the pain from the world. I couldn't watch TV, even those days.
I can't watch TV either.
I couldn't feel like everybody's pain. So
Yeah.
that's the reason I was having anxiety. And then I realized that I am empath. So back in the day, I didn't like what is happening, you know? And so I was so grateful because one of the Hare Krishna guy, one of the teacher, he taught me the breath work. I was having like a bad day, and he was teaching me like a very nicely uh, to breathe because when we are having any anxiety or any stress, we don't know how to breathe, and then
Yes, we
everything,
lose our breathing.
yeah, so then everything can go downhill in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And so basically this was like the open door for my spirituality, and everything that is related with unconditional love. This is my totally my approach. I don't believe too much in religion, and I believe in philosophy. And then I started working with Reiki and never stop. Everything that is related to like helping others, and
Do,
I
do
love
you know do you know what's funny? Because your initiation was totally the opposite of mine. Like mine, the first I remember was a deja vu, like a very strong deja vu that I had at
it.
7 years old. And I got so scared because one of the things was like I was worried about being put on meds and ended up in a straitjacket. That was like plain and simple because I listened to metal and I had all like skateboarding on that time was prohibited. It was a mess. So I just kept everything for myself until one day I went to talk to, I was 16, I think. I went to talk to a priest and the guy said like, oh, you're using too many drugs. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I don't even, like on that time, I didn't even use drugs. So for me, it was the opposite. So I kept it inside for a long time. And to be honest, I started only talking to my therapist a few months before my son was born. And
Wow.
yeah, like I kept it all inside, but I used it Ironman to kind of release that Ironman and music because I train it with music, so I used that to kind of release. But I was the same way. I didn't understand why I was feeling so uncomfortable in school and uh, so uncomfortable in so many ways, and I couldn't watch TV. It was painful. And it was like that doesn't make any sense, because like I didn't have any guidance. So with that being said, like what would you tell a parent today? Uh, like if somebody comes to you, like, hey, my kid is having all those things, and what would be your first approach
Well,
to
the first
suggesting?
thing the parents, they must to listen to the kids. Put their
That's it.
beliefs on the
That's
side,
yeah.
you know, and because again, sorry, my cat is being naughty.
No, she wants to join.
Yes, he's trying everything to kick it, knock out everything here.
Yeah.
So I remember you were talking about priests. I remember when I was 15, and because my parents, we are half Italian, half Brazilian, so they told me you have to do like your communion, whatever. I never believed in that. No offense, I
In the
respect.
same way.
But I went there, and the priest kept telling me, "You need to tell me your sins." And I said, "I don't have sins."
I'm
"Well,
a
you
kid.
have to tell me one." I said, "I don't have it." So basically, he wants me to lie, and then it's gonna be a sin. And so,
Exactly.
right. So after that, I was like, I respect, but it's like whatever, put it in a box, So going back to the parents, remember, we are not this body. Our soul is way, way, way bigger than that. We have the spiritual, the physical body just to have a human experience, right?
Yeah.
So when your kid, if you, the kid, your son, your daughter, they tell you, I hear voices or I see something, just listen to them with an open mind.
Yeah.
It's no such thing like, oh, my kid is crazy. Again, I'm not opposed about pills or whatever, because sometimes you have to take it,
You have to have it. Yeah.
you know. But if you are little and you're having all those symptoms, talk, just talk and try to understand as a family, because everybody is born in a different way.
Yeah.
And like in my family, I'm the one, and I'm a seer. I can see stuff, I can hear stuff. Now is supernatural to me, but it's like growing up was kind of hard, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky that my parents was always like, especially my mom, always open mind and guiding us to whatever was supposed to. Um, but the rule number one: listen to your
Listen to
kids
it.
and
It's
and
funny
keep
because
your heart open.
you said two things. I don't know if Savannah is still there, but you said two things. That I interviewed Savannah the other day, and she actually developed a toy that helps breathing. And she said that one thing it's breathe, and the other thing it's listen, because that's very important to listen to it, even if you don't believe. It's like
Exactly.
just for the fact that the kid is say something without being judged or being scared. Like in my case, it was my own fault because I was afraid of saying and I never said anything. But but just the fact that somebody listens, like, okay, I hear you, makes like a huge huge difference in anybody's life. So that's
Yeah, because you put it out. Because when you hold back all those things, creates so much like is different emotions that you don't understand. You know, like my job, I work with kids with addiction,
mhm.
and I'm not saying all of them, but the majority they go to drugs and alcohol because they have that feeling. They
That was
see
going to be my
stuff.
next question. Like how you see the spirituality with mental health and how they kind of interact with each other in a
Well,
way.
I'm so beyond grateful to be on this field, you know, because I can guide those people, and at least I'm not saying that I'm gonna save somebody. It's not the point,
Yeah.
but it's like I can help them to see the light, you know. Then whatever they hear, whatever they feel, because most of them, um, they see stuff, they hear stuff, and they are ultra sensitive,
Yeah.
and because they don't know how to deal with those how I call that sensibility, they try to numb with drugs and alcohol because they don't know better. And it's so amazing when they start coming to my class. I bring like books and I talk about how the energy work, because everything is energy, not just us but everything.
Everything. Yeah.
And they start to realize, oh my god, I'm not crazy. And I said, of course not.
You know, in a way, I was lucky because before I became an athlete, I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I was drinking, like, I remember so many parties that I just puked my brains out because I needed to numb that. I was like, I'm
You
crazy,
want to
so I
feel
need to do
normal.
something. Yeah, I need to be normal. And in that search, I ended up numbing with something else, which was sport. You know, like I think I went too far on the Ironman for me, that like at one point started being unhealthy because I was just like trying to shut up the voices. Like I was just like, I just need to end with this, until I like, okay, this is not something I can control that much. But it's so interesting to me to say that, because like it's a thin line. You can go either way. You can go to something really bad, which is drugs and alcohol, and you can kind of find a balance. And I think that's the key. And then I think that's where music kind of comes into play to help you find a balance, and that's why it's kind of like healing in a
Yeah,
sense.
yes, yes. Especially when you're crossing a situation like that and you don't know what to do and what path you're supposed to go. Is so you feel trapped, you
Yeah,
know. And I remember back in the time when I was crossing that fine line between like anxiety, borderline depression for no reason, but because I am a path.
yeah,
And I was at that fine line. And of course, I had the opportunity to either go to drugs and alcohol or do what I do now. So I'm lucky that I found that path like in a very early age. But took me a while to get there, you know. But it's like, yeah, I will be a student for life, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. It's funny because like I told when I was writing the book, when a book ghostwriter, like I told me, it's funny because I was always told I was evil and this, but uh, a few times, a few moments in my life, like for example, when I was in school, I knew where drugs were being sold, and I could have gone over there and start selling and start using, but I always chose like, no, this is not, like this is not for me. Let's go for something else. Which in that sense, my family was great because they always told me like, stay away from those things, and like I kind of learned it, but it was like I could easily have gone like totally like, screw
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
I'm crazy, and that's it, and then there'll be game over in a war, drug, or whatever. But like I think that message itself, it's probably one of the most important message that somebody can get. It's like, listen, you're not crazy,
You're not
and just to
crazy.
say, like, I know I talk about weed a lot, but I don't think weed is a drug. It's something that actually helped me realize, okay, there is another plane to it, and this is what I'm feeling, because it kind of like exaggerate your feelings in a way. So you can recognize that, but once you recognize, you're like, okay, I'm not crazy. Then that's.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No, it's like, yeah, there's so many data about weed and stuff that is, helps so many in different ways.
in different
So,
ways,
it's that I don't do it because I'm a goofball by nature.
then.
So this is my high. I played that like 24/7. Um,
Which that's one of my next questions. But continue, please.
yeah. So yeah. So that one is the crystal ball.
The
Um,
crystal ball.
so
So,
that
can you explain me a little bit about that? Because I saw you play that day on the full moon, which was like totally an amazing experience. And so, explain to us a little bit of that, of the rituals that you do, and those kind of things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So well, this is one of those instruments that I play. And again, growing up, I always loved crystals. My grandma used to work with crystals back in Brazil, so it was one of my first passion. And then when I started playing piano when I was 8, and then growing up, and then with crystals, and then I found my first crystal ball. Oh my God, I'm old. 1999. And I literally fell in love. And then after that, I started working on and learning more about frequencies. Everything that I play, regardless, even the gong, the flutes, the bow, has the tune of 432 hertz. And that frequency resonates with the heart. So all the emotions, all the past life emotions that we have, we store it here. Because you can balance here, but if the heart is not well balanced,
It's
you
not
do
gonna go
that.
anywhere. No.
You hold anger, guilt, or whatever emotions. So everything that I do really is related with unconditional love. And so that one is two crystals infused. That one is clear quartz and kyanite. So clear
Okay.
quartz usually is the one that amplify like all the energy, all the frequencies, and even a scientific way, kyanite is the one that balance automatically all the chakras in the body. Then
Wow.
the point. So it's pretty cool. So this is one of them, but I play Tibetan bowls and I have so many stuff.
And you have different size bows too, right?
I do. I don't have them here right now because I did an event a little bit earlier, so
No,
they're
no,
on
that's
my
fine.
car. But yeah, but in this case, honestly, the size doesn't matter. If you know what I mean. Can I say that?
Yeah, of course. That's what she
Because
said. That-
so basically, the size really doesn't matter. Because the sound, the purity of the crystal, that is going to amplify the sound. So can I play a little bit so you can
yes,
hear?
yes. Yeah, that's so cool.
Super cool,
That,
right?
yeah, it's so cool. And I was going to say, like, when you are outside with a bonfire in the middle, and that plane is just like, and you're looking at the sky, it's just like something, like totally, totally outside of this world.
Well, because you let go your body, you totally disconnect from here and you become just one,
Yeah,
you know?
it's so amazing.
And
And it's funny. Most guitars are tuned on 440,
uh-huh.
and but I tune my guitar at 432.
Awesome!
Yeah,
I
I was
love
like,
that.
I always knew it, so I put it my guitar to 432, even though it's distorted and it's punk rock and all of that, but I put it in 432 just
It's
because I know
awesome.
that kind of stuff.
Even to your kids, oh my God.
Yeah.
I see the way that you interact with them and the music. Oh my God, they're amazing. You know that.
Thank you.
They
I,
are.
I'm, I'm not good at receiving compliments. Uh, I missed that class in school, but thank you.
Well, it's good to learn.
Exactly. Yeah. It's one of the things is it's funny because I started using music with them like very early. Well, with Luke was more intuitive. Like I put it music for him and he was moving in the belly. But when we were in the hospital on the first days in the NICU, I didn't even have met you. I remember one day I got in and it was like a very difficult day. He was like all over the place. My wife was desperate. My mother-in-law was desperate. I got in and I put in music. I hold him and I start singing and playing. And like honestly, it was a matter of seconds. Like the whole room started to like the energy changed. And then I was like, okay, let's now access that. But then he started to get better. You know, he started to like he started to become stable again and and it's crazy because when I decided to do punk rock for kids, which my first album is coming pretty soon, hopefully I try
I'm
to
so
put
excited.
yeah I try to put to launch it on Father's Day in Brazil because you know like half of my family is there and the other half is here, um, so maybe Father's Day is gonna come out, but I uh, I started to do punk rock song for them because it helps with his muscles and it helps with his vibration too. So I was like, you know, like all that time I felt bad for myself for nothing because it's actually a very super healthy thing. And I can thank you enough for opening that door that, you know, like I was like, me? Nah. But
Thank you. Thank
it
you
made
for
it.
an open mind.
Yes, well, I always had an open mind and, you know, like, but it's kind of hard to have an open mind when everything else around you is telling you the opposite and it's bashing you and you're like
Well, but believe me or not, most of the time when people they are negative about something, is just because they don't know better.
yeah
It's just in a fear way to try to find an answer for something, but because they don't know, they label something as bad or crazy, you know.
yeah yeah
And
and it's I don't know like heavy metal and punk rock they help me lose a lot of fear, you know, like because that was basically it. I was afraid of, you know, like what could happen or what if I have a connection to something else, you know, and then now I'm feeling like comfortable, which like this is probably the first live that I actually openly talk about spirituality like that because I was always like actually that's the reason why my hair is blue. They say the trauma is stored in the body, and I became after a while I started having thyroid issues. So singing
uh,
for me it's a way of healing, and the blue hair is the thyroid chakra. So it's kind of like I kind of try to make it like something meaningful in that,
yeah,
but.
yeah. Hold on 1 second.
All right.
Kiko, my cat has a bell and he's playing the bell here. So yeah, I'm so glad that you have to, because our body is so, it's like a thermometer, you know. The body can react in a different ways, especially if you're holding your voice. You're not speaking your emotions. Okay, cool. Let me give me 1 second. Let me
He
just
wants to
ring the bell.
participate in the live. Bring him up.
Hold on. Cool.
It's like my Lemmy here. He wants to participate. See,
Oh,
that's
look at this, Kiko.
this is my spiritual guide.
Oh my God, I love it. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
Lemmy.
Lenny.
Yeah, do you know that You know, in 2020, for let's be honest, for sensitive people, 2020 was like emotion in hell, basically. And
2020 was a challenge for everybody.
oh my God. And I started to meditate a lot on that time. And I actually, one day I saw Lemmy in my meditations. And that's when I was like, listen, I need to put my stuff in music. And that's like, he's my greater motivator. That's why I bought this.
I love
I
it.
keep it here just in.
Yeah. And you know what? Never change who you are. And I keep like you are a very special soul. And you came here on this planet with a big purpose.
Well,
You know, and you're doing already, even if you don't realize you
I,
are.
I feel it and I felt my entire life. I just, you know, like never, I don't know, like I never went that route. And then now, because I was scared, but now, you know, like luckily, Luke woke me up that side. And you know, it's funny, like I don't know what you think about telepathy, but I talk to him a lot like that. Uh, uh, you know, it's crazy because the other day we went to the school and one like I'm playing with him like while we're doing the tour and stuff, and then the teacher's looking at him like, "How you guys connect with each other like that?" I was like, "It's kind of hard to explain to someone that they're gonna be like, well, this guy is nuts." Like, but it is what it is. I understand him; he understands me. Like, what can I do?
Well, it's energy. Again,
It's
it's like, you know, imagine it's the same thing. Sometimes you think about something or somebody and that person call. So
yeah,
I don't believe in coincidence. I really don't. You know, I think like you send the energy out and in some way the person get the message, you know.
yeah,
And because you two are very connected, and he's one of the biggest teacher of view me look,
yeah.
he's amazing.
It's
And
it's a huge he's a huge teacher, and it's like it's incredible, and sometimes it's overwhelming his energy. To be honest, like especially in the beginning when I wasn't ready for it,
uh,
it's like whoa. But I think kids are the greatest teacher in the planet, and we shut
oh
them
my
up.
god.
You know what I mean? Like we just literally shut them up, and it's not fair. Um,
That's the reason I keep telling all the parents and just stop and listen. Listen to the kids. You know, even if you the back of your head you think it's a no sense, it's no such thing. It's always a reason why they're drawing something. Or to me, it's like I love your videos with Luke. His personality. Oh my God. He
oh
knows
yeah,
what he wants. It's like it's just amazing. It's just
yeah.
amazing. And Amber,
It's oh.
Amber, she, oh my God.
She's a troublemaker, that girl. I gotta tell you. But her energy, and it's crazy because after we had that talk, I always wanted to become a Reiki master since
Uh-huh.
2012. And after we had that talk, I went to do my course and I became one in the hospital. When Luke was
Beautiful.
born, actually requested Reiki, and I learned a lot with the masters in there and stuff like that. And I participated in a lot of Reiki
Circles.
circles, and my meditations I used to go like many different places, which is kind of weird, um, but I started to embrace that. And when Carol was pregnant with Amber,
Uh-huh.
oh my God, I totally could feel her like in the belly. I could feel her like sleeping next to Carol. It was like insane. Like, and all of this was happening while 2020 was going completely nuts. And then I'm thinking like, okay, I just became completely nuts. I gotta just, you know, start talking about this because, and I even told Carol like, if I don't talk, if I don't do the music, it's kind of like I'm suffocated, like literally suffocated.
Well,
So
and I really, really believe everything you're doing, you are helping many people. Because again, I think it's like we come to a time then spirituality wasn't very open, you know, like and to talk about it. And then people always like back up. It's like, oh my God, I'm not talking about my feelings. And so now whatever you do is like put it out, because for real, many people that are suffering, especially with depression, they have the same feelings, but they never knew why.
They never knew why, yeah. Which is what's for me, like I have all these feelings and I never knew why. Never. And once I start understanding, I was like, holy crap, it's actually a beautiful thing. And why, like why nobody's like, listen. And I honestly think that we should put, first of all, philosophy back in school and teaching kids how to meditate. You don't need to do much. Like you don't need to put them in a freaking church. You need them to meditate, just to teach them how to shut up and listen, basically.
And also explain to everybody, it's like when I do any classes or anything, everything that I teach is nothing about religion. Connection that you find with yourself, and then with whatever is your belief. Because to me, God has many names, many forms, but it's just the way that you feel about it. And when people start to think that stigma about meditation, then it's like, oh my God, is it because many people think yoga meditation is evil. Believe
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Well, actually the Roman Catholic Church always says that tarot, Reiki, and yoga are like witchcraft stuff. That's why I'm like, might as well be a witch, right?
I think it's funny. So it's just like the misinformation. So I
Yeah,
try to explain a very simple way. It's like, first, I believe like in oneness. I think like you, me, and everybody that is connected in some way, like through Instagram, social media. But if you connect in some way, we are energetic connected with that. It doesn't matter if you know in person or not.
yeah,
You draw to that energy. And so it's no separation. It's just a way to understand that we are beyond this body. We are not this. And when you learn, then it's like everything is energy, and it's just be truthful to that energy. It's not evil. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, and it's funny like that you said about coincidence, because when I like all the way like from 7 to I would say probably like 23, 22 years old, I kind of like went into this alcohol, like not 7, but like later on. All the way to that age, I went just like trying to destroy myself. But the minute that I start changing, that I went to do triathlon and look for something else and follow my intuition a little bit more, I started seeing like so many coincidences in my life of like, this is not a coincidence. This is a path that I was meant to follow. And then when Luke was born, like my knowledge of those things, it helps him. So I was like, that's not also not a coincidence. He's my son and Carol's son for a reason, like he came here for a reason. And we take all of this for granted. And I think the world could be completely different if we understand that we are beyond of what this body is.
Well, I think because it's the majority of the world is still putting everything in a box.
Yeah.
Like my
They all need
body
a
is better
label for
than
something.
yours. Yeah, like my politics, religion, or whatever. Like a mind, whatever is better than yours. And then this creates such a huge problem, because people, they fight for something they don't even know.
Exactly.
And they
Yeah.
don't even try to understand, you know?
Yeah, there's a song that says like, do you know what you're fighting for? It's exactly that.
And same thing.
Like, do you know what you're fighting for? Like, you have no idea what it. Like, you're defending something that you don't even know what's behind of it and what's like the real energy behind the whole thing. And it's kind of
Exactly.
like,
And the reason is like, imagine if everybody was open to talk about feelings, or because deep inside, I know many people, they feel what we feel, but they have the taboo, like, oh, I'm not crazy.
Yeah. Like I can say stuff like that. I'm gonna be crazy. And it's funny because remember, like in the beginning when I said how I met you, like when I was talking to Rafa Lee in the car going to that concert, that was like one of the first times that I'm mentioning Rafa Lee because he's our common friend.
Yeah, he's
And
the
for
one
those
who connects
watching,
in some way. Yeah.
yes, for those watching, he's a triathlete, and we raced together for a long time. So we're going to this Iron Maiden concert, and we are talking about God and existence and stuff like that. But that was the first time I actually talked to a guy about feelings that I wasn't afraid to talk, and he wasn't afraid to talk. And then we were both like, oh, like we connected. We were like, okay, this is it,
It's
like and
awesome. Yeah.
so it was pretty cool. But men in general, like they're all afraid to talk about their feelings, like talk
No,
about.
no, because they think like, when you talk about feelings, it's a sign of weakness,
Yeah,
you know, and it's no such thing. To me, it's like, it's the most beautiful virtue when you can be open and talk about, like, either if you're happy or if you're sad, but open up for that, because
yeah,
come on, make your life way better. We
way
don't have to
better.
carry that heaviness, pretending all the time. Just
Exactly.
like, it's always, I always say, like, all the time, I love to keep everything real. Keep it real, whatever it is, and just be honest to yourself, and then everything just fall in the right spot.
And keeping it real, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's the whole deal, like you gotta connect with somebody. It's the whole deal.
Well, it's about perception. It's the same thing. People in general, don't they don't used to be 100% honest. And when somebody's honest, I'm talking about feelings, or either if they like something or not, the other side either can take in a good way or it's offensive. Like, oh my God, you know?
No.
But again, if you think about it, did you read the book, The Four Agreements?
Yes, yes.
So then go to the part of the book that say, never take personal. Just be truthful to yourself,
No.
you know? Like,
That was
as
my
long
first
as
thought when you mentioned the book. It's like, don't take anything personal because usually it's whatever it's telling you, it's from the other person, not you.
uh-huh.
But if you take it personally,
And then it's become yourself. It's like a whole, you know?
yeah,
So it's the same thing. Like, if you're speaking from your heart and that person is yelling and, it's not your fault. It's their own frustration. So I
yeah.
learned that too. It's like, when I teach my classes, I speak like, from my heart. Sometimes I throw like some bad words just to break the ice. And some of the people in the spiritual community, they look at me like, ooh. And I tell, it's like, man, I am human, like you, like everybody else.
Yeah,
I just want to share from my heart things that my own experience,
yeah,
because it's the only way. So why are we gonna talk about science all the time, or like a parable?
yeah.
It's not me.
It's I using bad words. I usually say fuck off is one of the most liberating things you can say, and for me, it should be actually a mantra
Yeah,
because like sometimes you say like a fuck off and just go with your way instead of carrying that with you forever and ever and ever, just like, or
yeah,
in
and
Portuguese, foda-se, and just go. Sometimes you have to do that. There's no other
you
way.
have to.
Yeah.
It's funny. One of my guru, Swamiji, he's 94 years old. He's from India. And we are talking one time. He's the funniest man ever. And I was telling him like about my anxiety, because sometimes the word can be overwhelmed. you know.
Yeah.
So I always talk to him and I try to explain, like, yeah, what should I do? And he's a believer and journaling. But you know, because sometimes we have trouble to speak up.
Yeah.
And when you journal, you can put it out, all those feelings. But he told me one thing is like, first, whatever you have inside, if you want to curse the whole page, just curse. If you want to say fuck the whole thing, just do it, you
Yeah.
know, but don't hold back. But one thing he told me is pretty cool. When you do that, read, even if you wrote like 100 fucks, you read that, make peace, rip it off, because
Yeah.
you want to let go. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have like keep you holding anything. Everything's temporary.
Yeah, and because it's all energy, if you don't liberate, it stays stuck with you. You
Yeah.
know, like it's
And then it can get like a sick in a physical body too,
yeah.
you know, and it's reality. It's so real.
And you know, one thing you said is interesting that I want to ask you if that's what happens with you, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I'm new to this journey, and in a way, I love how my life turned out because since I was a kid, I was always turning out all this kind of religious stuff because like I don't want to even read about it. I want to like go within and try to understand myself, which it was hard path to do, but it was actually the best thing. But when you speak from your heart, does it feel like sometimes it's not even you speaking? Like you
Absolutely.
physically is like the words are coming out, but it's like your soul is talking, not you. Like you're not
It's,
making the conscious moving. Like okay, I gotta say that. I gotta say that now. It's not like a knowledge that you're learning in this planet that you are teaching. It's just like speaking from the heart is like it's almost
well, you put it
uncontrollable
in some
sometimes.
way, imagining, because I studied like a lot about all those things, like for at least 20 years, I had no stop. Um, if I go just with my mind, so that means my ego is gonna take over and try to talk all those most amazing hard words, and it's possible, you know,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be so mechanic.
Yes.
It's not gonna be like a Tessia, you know. And then when you put your ego in some way on the side, like just watching, and you channel everything, oh my God, the words just come like in a beautiful way. Everybody understand. Because again, the ego, the part, the science part is beautiful. But if you wanna touch everybody's heart, you just need to be yourself.
Yeah. And you know what? It's cool. Like I like one song. It's a Bad Religion song that says, "Science is not a perfect rule of measure," and because there is something else about life that we never put in consideration, and something that I use with Luke all the time. Like the other day was actually last year. The doctors are like, "Well, his back is screwed. There's nothing you can do about it, and I won't do surgery on him because he's too weak on the bone." I was like, what do you mean there's nothing you can do about it? So I went to start doing some exercises and I do a few things here and there. Next x-ray, his curve was actually better, which was unheard of. And then I look at the doctor, I laugh, it's like, and it's like, I was like, I knew it, I knew it. I was like, I can prove it now. And then the doctor's like, what are you talking about? Of like, there is something else more about life that nobody takes in consideration.
Yeah.
Nobody. And I think it plays a huge role in everybody's life, but nobody's paying attention to it.
No,
Nobody's
because
connecting.
again, go back to the box. Like,
Yeah.
oh, the doctor told me that, or whatever told me that. And I'm like you, it's like, I think whatever life I have, everything is possible,
Yes.
you know? And I always say, like, if you break the word impossible, it's
I
wrong.
am.
Impossible is a creation of the mind, so it's I am possible. And we are. And so it's for everything. Like I know people, like I remember when I was doing one of my training from yoga, and my teacher, amazing woman, back at the time she was like in the early 60s, and she told me her life story, like she had a bad car accident, and the doctor told her, "You're never gonna walk again. You're never gonna walk." Oh my God, she proved them wrong. She was one of the most amazing yoga teacher that I ever had. You know, it's like to me, it's like when you have that power and you set up your mind, then you can do something. You can do something.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and of course, in life you're gonna have everything around you saying. Some people is gonna support you. Some people is gonna say like, "You're insane. This is not possible." You know, and but just go to your goal.
Yeah.
Everything is possible.
Energy goes where attention goes. That's usually what I
Absolutely.
say. Yeah.
There's
Now,
no possible.
let's talk a little bit about yoga. I know you are excellent yoga teacher, and there is different kinds of yoga, right?
Yeah.
And so, do you know like which one you teach? You teach
Well,
hatha, right?
I teach Shivananda.
Shivananda, okay.
Yeah, so Shivananda is very traditional. It's not very pretty, like everybody do the hands, you know, like the ones that you go in studio. So Shivananda basically is the one that is always going to be 12 asanas, 12 poses with variation. So they used
Okay.
to teach Shivananda for the army in India. So it's like a
Wow.
very strong, it's a lot of core and it's a lot of breathing. So basically you hold the pose for like a 4 minutes. So it's a lot of mental too, because you have to let go.
Yeah.
So yoga to me, when I started on the path with the yoga, was one of the most amazing things to me. I used to be too much in my head, especially being like I live here in America for like 30 years.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, when I was living here, I used to judge myself a lot, like oh my God, I'm not American, I'm not good enough, you know, all those questions. So I used to be so hard on myself. So then I can tell like Shivananda, the practice, yoga in general, really can help you like tremendous, because you disconnected from your mind.
Yeah. I when I started yoga, I like it the fact that it almost felt like I was cutting energy cords that was kind of holding me, in different positions and depending, like if I was really centered in myself, I would be able to feel it, and that's how I start breaking up like a lot of like bad habits and things like that. It just felt this way, but I don't think I ever did. I think I did one class with you, and that was pretty much it. But Shivananda is something that I haven't done a whole lot. But it's
I'm gonna
interesting.
check if there's some place around you.
Okay.
Because I know a lot of people everywhere with the Shivananda, but I think nearby, like I'm pretty sure. But it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the philosophy in general. I think like yoga means union,
Yeah.
so you know you cannot just use one part of your body and detach from the spirituality. So it's the whole thing. So
Is
it's
the
pretty
whole
cool,
thing.
and it's
Well,
um, no judgment,
yeah.
literally.
My book title comes from yoga because I use it the Punkaste, like Namaste, but the punk way. Like it's a real one, like just to kind of make fun of it. But I use it because yoga is one of the things that really, really helped me. Yoga and meditation. I started meditating when I was very young, about 7 years old. I used to call concentration. Like before I do anything like basketball, skateboarding, whatever, I had to concentrate for 5 minutes. That was my rule.
Oh, I love
Uh,
that.
and I didn't know it was all intuitive, but
You
it
see?
helped. It helped. It started to make sense everything afterwards in my life, but on that time it didn't. It didn't make so much sense, but I just felt like I played better and I could concentrate better if I do that before. So like, why not?
Mhm.
But
Yeah, so in a soul level, you knew, but you didn't have the proper guidance. You knew
yes,
exactly, it's like, it's like, oh, I have to do that. This kid.
yeah. So it's I don't know. It's interesting because uh, it's just funny how I felt always felt bad for listening to my intuition and being like, no, this is where I need to go, and nobody really understand. But every time I follow it, it worked. If I didn't follow, shit happens. So it's like,
Yeah, and it's almost like it's the voice. It's like go to the right, and then you're like, no, I'm going to the left.
yeah, your
Boom.
ego's like,
So,
no, go to the left, and then you boom right in the wall.
and then you start like, okay, I'm gonna listen.
So like I should have listened the first time, but okay.
Yeah, but you know what? We are all work in progress. One day
Yes,
at a time. It's the only thing we can do.
yes. So to kind of close, I don't want to take too much of your time. I know it's late in Florida and all of that stuff. But what do you suggest? Because right now we are like the way I feel it. I don't know if you feel it, but we are in the verge of first like a big, massive change in the whole planet, but also we are in the verge of a mental health crisis because I think the way I see astrologically, a lot of people are starting to activate that intuition, but they don't know how to deal with it, and it's kind of like going nuts. So, what would be like a few suggestions that you can? Because I know you worked with this. I know you have a lot of history with mental health with on your work, and you do healing sounds, and you see this like so often. And I would like to know, more like something that you can tell for people to do, something that they can look forward, or what kind of health they should be looking for instead of going to alcohol and drugs, and
Oh,
the
absolutely.
bad things.
Yes. Well, first, honestly, is the first thing I tell all my clients, all my friends, stop watching TV. Period.
Joe Ramon saying that bake a hole in your TV set. I always tell that to people. They think I'm crazy. Like first thing is yes. Okay, go ahead. We're in the same
It's
page,
like
by the
you're not crazy.
way.
Because again, I'm not judging anybody because everybody has their own path. But if you get on the TV, it's like a brainwash. And that stuff is going to create so much anxiety because you're going to think everybody is going to explode, or, we always expect the worst.
Yeah.
So, first, honestly, is stop TV. Go outside, do something positive. Even if you walk outside, go check the nature, or like listen to music. Doesn't matter what kind of music you like. It's not right or wrong. Just do something that is good for you. You remember, we are not here in this lifetime to please everybody. So it's like it's very important to do something that will bring you happiness. So if you like to hear whatever music, do it. Music to me is one of more important thing in my life
For me
because,
too.
right? And also I think music is a soundtrack of your life. So, right? So you
Yes.
wake up one day, it's like, yeah, oh my God, that sound, and it can take you to that place, and you remember the people, the whatever happened. It's super cool. So music is very important. And if you like sports, do something. If you don't do sports, just walk,
Just walking.
and do something and journal. If you have trouble to find somebody to hear what you have to say, but put it out. But my approach is like my teacher told me, and I totally agree with him. You can write down whatever happened through the day, like the bad, the good, or whatever it is. You want to curse, but put it out. In the end of when you're going before bed, read everything, make peace with those emotions, and check what you can learn from that, or most of the time it's just like a nonsense stuff because
Yeah.
we're too much in our minds, you know. And
And
it's very
sometimes
important.
like that triggers you to go back to a trauma or a fear that you had before. And when you look at it and you write it down, you're like, oh, it's not that bad. You know, like I'm just reacting in a way for something that you never healed before.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And also it's like whatever trauma or bad thing that happen, if you can talk with whatever the person create that, try to make peace. Or if you don't have access to that, put on the paper, you know, and try to make like a peaceful, not for the person, but for yourself.
for yourself, yes.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise you're gonna carry that heaviness for the rest of your life, and you don't have to, you know. And
And it's a weight that carries, you know, like especially for empathetic people, like it's like you carry literally carrying the whole world in your back,
yeah,
and it's super heavy.
yeah. And another thing my guru told me that I have the tendency that I wanna save the world, you know. I
Yeah,
want
I have that too.
I wanna make everybody happy, and I wanna save everybody. But he told me one thing because one day I was very upset, and he told me, Tessia, you're not here to save anybody. You're lucky if you can save yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and it's not being selfish, but it's like when you do the best for you, you can be the reflection for so many people. And then again, it's not right or wrong. We are all here in a work in progress. So we
Yeah.
are learning, you know?
It's funny because I learned one thing as a coach, as a triathlon coach, is the minute that you start changing one person in the family, everybody else starts like a ripple effect. So what you said is like, yeah, you're not gonna save the world, but you can try to save yourself. But by trying to save yourself, you're gonna empower people around you. So
Yes.
in a way, you being selfish and trying to save yourself, you might end up saving others just by the ripple effect.
Yep.
But so it's very interesting you said, and it's interesting because I also say this a lot of time. Like in my channel, I start doing like a few rituals that I do, but it's like listening to music, but going outside like stargazing or sun gazing, just being outside and connect with the nature, or with your barefoot in the grass, you can feel the energy, and I think things change literally.
Oh my God. One thing that I do, like I told you, between groups, because sometimes it's a lot of energy that I get in between
Yeah,
groups and sessions, you know. I have to go to the beach, even for 2 minutes. I just lay down there and breathe or skateboard or let go, you
yeah,
know. And it's so important because first it's gonna help you to be more grounded. And then you realize whatever you grab it, you don't have to hold because it's not yours. You
yes.
just filtering that, make peace, let go.
And
But
the grounding helps
oh
clearly
my
that
God, yes, yes.
I know because I started to notice like sometimes I'm Looney Tunes and I need to get grounded. So I go to the backyard and like literally grab the cold water hose, barefoot on the grass, and then I take a cold shower. Boom, I'm back to I'm like, oh,
It's
okay,
almost like
I'm light again.
yeah, everything that I was holding in there is like, oh
It's
my
just
God, it's gone.
out.
Yeah, yeah. And
Incredible.
simplicity, keep everything simple, you
Yeah.
know. And we are not here to have like a science project lifestyle. It's simplicity, best way.
Just be you.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
yeah, just be you. And stop with the TV. Period.
I think that's the number one rule. Make a hole in your TV set. Go be a punk. Make a hole in the TV set. Then go outside, go feel the sun, go feel the stars, you know, go do yoga, go walk, meditate, which for me, skateboarding and music it's a way of meditation. So movie meditations, whatever rocks your boat.
Yeah, but just move your body, and go outside. Go outside. Nature is the best thing.
Yes. All
Yeah,
right. Thank you so much for coming into this live. I think it was. I think it was great. Maybe we should do one in Portuguese. We don't know.
absolutely. Amen.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me. Maybe I can see the guitar over there. Maybe one of these days we can jam. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be cool. That
Yeah,
would be cool. We can plan on that.
yeah. All right. So thank you again. You
Thank
are a
you.
beautiful inspirational for me and many people.
Thank you.
And and
I don't
keep
know how to
doing.
take. I don't know how to take compliments, but thank you.
Oh, take this back because the words has the power. So
Oh yeah,
we
yeah.
all will take the compliment.
I will take the compliment. Thank you. I appreciate it. And
Thank you.
thank you again for like opening the door for me on my spirituality and that incredible full moon ritual that was like something outside of this world. I have it with me forever. And also you're an inspiration for me in terms of the spiritual path because I was like, okay, I'm not the only one that listen to this kind of music and still have a connection and like and like this kind of stuff. So thank you again for inspiring me and opening that door, which was like
Thank you.
combined with everything that was happening in my life. It was like it was just like seeing the world in a whole different way. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Much love.
Punkaste.
Now,
Punkaste.
namaste.
Thank you.
Bye. Keep in
Bye.
touch.
What?
Ciao.
What did you say?
Keep in touch.
We'll do. We'll do. We do. We're gonna do one in Portuguese.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye.
Bye.